Hi, second graders. Welcome back for another day of calendar. Please say the date with me. Today is Thursday, April 9th, 2020. Let's see how we would write that in words and numbers. In words, we would say it was Thursday, April 9th, 2020, and numbers 4-9-20. Now let's flip over that new card and see what we find. Another plate with some fruit on it. Well, yesterday I said that we would be looking more closely at our calendar cards and we would be trying to find some patterns that are going on. So I want to draw your attention to the 4 markers on display here on top of my document. And I want to explain to you that Raphael and his dad decide to build some more rectangular raised garden beds. They decide to build 4 in all, 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are the pictures of the 4 beds as they're viewed from the top. Now, as you look at these calendar cards, I would encourage you to take a few moments and examine them closely, and then share the observations with someone at home. Now, if I could have your help filling in our calendar grid observations chart for these first 4 days of April. So you'll notice that the headings include date, whole or set, how many parts or items, and observations. So right now we're going to focus on just these 3, the date, whole or set, and how many parts or items, and then we'll get to the observations in just a moment. So if you look at this first calendar card, number 1, the date on that card was 4-1, April 1st. And you'll notice that some of the markers, like the ones in this first set that I pulled for you, are whole things divided into parts. So in the second column here, whole or set, we would type whole. Now on that first calendar marker, how many parts do you see? Well, let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 4 parts. Do you? Okay, now onto the second calendar marker. The date was 4-2. And it looks like this is also a whole garden bed. So we'll type whole. And let's count how many parts are in this garden bed. We have 1, 2, 3. Do you count 3 parts as well? Good. Third calendar marker, 4-3, April 3rd. Again, we have a whole garden bed. But how many parts do you see? If you said 2, you are correct. 2 parts. And now the last calendar marker we have was April 4th, so 4-4. And then you'll notice that it is a whole. And now this one might seem kind of tricky because you might say, well, Mrs. Krause, it doesn't look like there is any parts. Well, there actually is. There's 1 whole part, so 1 part. Now let's go back and look at our pictures a little more closely and the parts that they are broken into. So do you know the name for each of the parts in calendar card 1? If you said that each one of those parts are fourths or worth 1/4, you are correct. Let's look at card number 2. Card number 2 we said was split into 3 parts, 1, 2, 3. So each part is worth 1/3. So each part is a third. Look at calendar card number 3. We have 2 parts that it is split into, the garden bed. 2 parts means that each part is 1/2. So these are halves. And in calendar marker number 4, you'll notice that there is 1 big part, or it is 1 whole. Last but not least, let's look at our very last column right here on our calendar grid observations chart called observations. So on calendar marker number 1, this one right here, what are some things that you notice about it? We can either write down our observations or we can write down equations. Well, I noticed that in calendar marker number 1 that there are 4 fourths. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. So I'm going to write that in the observations box. There are 4 fourths. All right. Maybe there's something else that you have observed and can tell someone at your house about it. All right, second one, the second card right here. What do you notice? Some observations, or maybe there's an equation that we can write in the observations box. Think for a moment about what you notice. Well, on this one, I'm noticing that each part is 1/3. So this garden bed is split into thirds, 3 equal pieces, and each part is worth the fraction 1/3. So I'm going to try to write that the best that I can on the computer. Each part is 1/3. Now you'll notice that my fraction wrote with a slash. Sometimes you see fractions written with a 1 and then a straight line under and then the 3 on the bottom. So that's another way to write it. Let's look at calendar marker number 3. So I noticed that there are 2 equal parts. Each part is a half. But what's really cool about this calendar marker is that I noticed that 1/2 over here plus 1/2 over here would equal the whole garden bed. So for this one, for my observation, I'm going to write an equation. It's going to be the fraction 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 whole. Maybe you have some other observations that you would like to tell someone at home about. And finally, our last calendar marker number 4. What do I observe? Well, the first thing that really stands out to me is that this garden bed isn't split up at all. It is 1 whole garden bed. It's not broken into parts at all. So I'm going to write, this bed isn't split up at all. Well, second graders, that's all I have for you today. That ends Number Corner for the week. Have a great weekend. Bye!